Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and it's a very hot afternoon for Saturday. Okay, so today I'm going to continue my lesson, my class for chapter 13, which is 13.2, and also I finish off the chapter 13 by finishing off with 13.3. Okay, so we are into a chapter called homeostasis. I think many schools are around this, at this, the progressing around this chapter. So I've skipped chapter 12, okay, because thinking that most of the schools are at chapter 13. So never mind. So after I finish chapter 13, and probably if I do have enough time, I will go back to chapter 12 and I'll do some lessons on it. Okay, so let me share screen. Okay, let me see who is with me today. Devesh Kumar. All right. Okay, good afternoon. Yes, I see you always joining my class. Okay, I see there are 3 more students. I do not know who they are. If you would like to let me know, just type in and I'll be able to see your name. Okay, let me share screen now. Right, I will, without further ado, let's not waste time. I really don't like wasting time. Okay, so I'll go straight to the point. So let's start with urinary system. 13.1, we did homeostasis. All right, we learned that it is important to maintain a constant internal environment in our body so that our cells, okay, can function optimally. So this is the best definition for homeostasis. All right, we have also seen some what are these internal environment? Okay, temperature. Okay, then you have the blood osmotic pressure, then you have blood pressure and the blood glucose level and so on. Okay, so today we go straight to another topic. It's a physiological. It's a physiology of the body. It's called the urinary system, which is very important. Okay, because it also is related to homeostasis. Because your urinary system is the system that removes waste products and also excess water from your body, and therefore it also helps to maintain your homeostasis. It also helps is your homeostasis mechanism. Okay, let's start now. Okay, let me see where's my screen. All right, so let's go straight to the. Okay, let me see. Yeah, I went straight to the next slide. So let's look at the urinary system. Now, this urinary system you have not learned in, I think, your Form 1 or Form 2 or Form 3, because it's the KSSM syllabus. The previous syllabus called KBSM. There is a chapter on urinary system, or we call this excretory system, system in chapter 3 of Form 3 of the KBSM syllabus. But you are not following the KBSM syllabus. You have missed this part. Okay, it's one of the systems of your body, but you did not learn this in particular. So never mind. All right, so I'm going to explain this to you, what you should have learned in Form 3 if you were following the KBSM syllabus. So without that prior knowledge, I have to go through it again. All right, so don't worry. All right, I will start from zero. Okay, urinary system. It plays an important role in homeostasis, like I mentioned earlier. It controls your urinary system, will remove excess water and also excess minerals from your body. So your blood would not be too concentrated or will not be too dilute. Okay, so your kidney carries out a very important function in maintaining homeostasis in your body. Okay, now, so what is in your urinary system? There are 4 important organs. Okay, as you know, organs make up your system. So let's look at the 4 important organs. You have the kidneys, and kidneys you have 2, one on the right and one on the left. And actually, they are not symmetrical in location. One of the kidneys is slightly higher than the other one. Okay, I think it's the right one, the right kidney. Okay, then you have. Okay, let me use my pen to indicate. Where's my pen? Okay, here. So kidneys, there are 2 kidneys here. Okay, here are right and left kidney. Okay, never mind. I have this highlighted, animation. Okay, ureter. Ureter is the tube that carries the urine that has already been done or prepared or produced in the kidney. So the kidney's function is to produce urine. Okay, by filtering the blood. Filtering the blood that comes in from these blood vessels that you see lah, right? You see the renal artery and the renal vein. Okay, never mind. So the urine that is already being produced will be channeled out from the kidney. So here is the channel. This is called, all right, this coming out. This is the ureter, carries urine, and it goes to the next part, which is the bladder. We call it the urinary bladder, which will store this urine temporarily until it becomes a little bit, engorged. You feel that there's a lot of pressure inside there. Your elastic, these muscles are stretched. Okay, the stretch receptors in your bladder, they are stimulated, and then it will send message to the brain, and your brain will, you get a sensation that you need to go to the toilet to release your bladder. To release release the urine out. And lastly, the urine will be released out of your body through a tube. Okay, it's connected to your bladder. It's called urethra. So you see the difference here? Ureter and urethra are two different, we call it tubes. Okay, ureter is before the bladder. Urethra channels urine out of the bladder. Okay, so do not mix up these two. Okay, now what's the function of the kidney? Kidney carries out two important functions. Number one, it excretes nitrogenous compounds. Okay, the waste. Nitrogenous compound is a general group of substances that contains nitrogen inside. Okay, example, urea, ammonia, and so on. Okay, urea, ammonia, uric acid, and so on. So it has nitrogen. So these are nitrogenous compounds. For human, we have urea, okay, in our urine. Okay, we don't have uric acid, neither do we have ammonia, right? Then next, another function of the kidney is to regulate. Regulate means is to control. Instead of saying control, use the word regulate. Okay, regulate the volume of body fluids. It regulates, it controls how much water there should be, or what's the volume of your body fluids. That means your interstitial fluid, your plasma, the blood plasma, and so on. How much water content should there be? Okay, sorry, that is how much of the volume. Cannot be too much, otherwise your body will be all, all bloated up. Then blood osmotic pressure. How high is your blood osmotic pressure? If your blood is too concentrated, means a lot of dissolved minerals inside, your blood osmotic pressure will be high. Okay, remember that. High osmotic pressure means your blood has too many dissolved solids inside there. Okay, ion concentration, like your calcium ion, your potassium, sodium, and all that. These are important. Okay, ions that allow certain physiological processes to function. For example, contraction of muscles. Okay, and all this requires ions. Electrolyte content basically also means the ion concentration, and also the blood pH. How acidic is your blood, and so on. Okay, it should be the correct pH value of your blood should be 7.2 to 7.4 or 7.5. Okay, it's slightly alkaline to your blood. Okay, now let's go to the structure. Okay, look at the structure. You didn't learn this in Form 1. Okay, never mind. So structure of kidneys. The kidney consists of two layers. Okay, look at the first layer. The first layer is cortex that surrounds the outermost layer, and the medulla is the second layer. It's the inner part. And there's another part of your kidney called pelvis. So pelvis is the place where all this urine that has been formed will be collected inside here. Okay, this let me put black color. Okay, here. See, this urine will flow into this part called the pelvis. So here, this is the pelvis where it collects all this urine that has been formed. So the urine must be formed in the cortex and the medulla region. Okay, so the I don't have highlighter here. Okay, never mind. I will just put, see the cortex is this layer here, right? Medulla is the innermost layer here. All right, okay. The two main functions of kidney, first is excretion, I mentioned earlier. Number two is your osmoregulation. So remember these important words. Excretion is to remove things that your body does not need. Osmoregulation is to control how concentrated your blood should be. Okay, cannot be too concentrated, cannot be too dilute, so that your cells function optimally. your cells will not suffer dehydration, neither will your cells undergo lysis. Lysis means bursting. Too much water gone into your cell, it will burst because it does not have the rigid cell wall. Okay, so all this is under homeostasis to control the osmotic pressure of your blood. Okay, let's go on. If I don't see any questions, so I'll go on. Okay, structure of kidney is a cross section, right? You will see there are blood vessels. Okay, so the blood vessels actually carries blood from the heart. This renal artery actually comes from the heart, so it has oxygenated blood. Okay, artery does not really mean all the arteries have oxygenated blood. So happen many of the arteries, all of them have oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery lah. Right, pulmonary artery is the only artery that carries deoxygenated blood. But the definition of artery is actually not what kind of blood it carries. It doesn't matter whether oxygenated or deoxygenated, as long as the artery carries blood that comes out from the heart, then it's known as an artery. Okay, so the artery is known as the blood vessel that carries blood away from the heart. So it comes out from the heart. As long as it comes out from the heart, that blood vessel is known as an artery. Okay? So this renal artery, renal refers to the word kidney. Okay, so when you see the word renal, it means kidney. When you see the word pulmonary, it means the lungs. All right, so now this blood, renal artery, carries blood to the kidney to be filtered. So this kind of blood is blood that needs to be filtered. This blood has a lot of, minerals and substances that are dissolved inside that has not been filtered. So it goes into the kidney to be filtered. All right, so you can more or less give the idea, okay, this is the blood that is not filtered yet, that is dirty. Don't say dirty lah, right? Don't write that in your answer. Don't write that in your answer. This is layman term. So this blood has not been filtered. It goes into your kidney. The function is to be filtered. Okay, then after going through the parts of the kidney, you see that this blood comes out. Okay, this blood comes out and it goes into this renal vein. So this is the blood that has already gone through the system. So whatever substances that is not needed would have been removed from this blood. So this blood will come back to the heart. You see, back to the heart. That's why we call it a vein. Okay, so the definition of a vein is a blood vessel that carries blood back to the heart. Doesn't matter it's oxygenated or deoxygenated. Don't so happen this is deoxygenated. So you put that blue color. Okay, so that's two. Right, one more tube. You can see there's another tube here. Now this is nothing to do with the blood. This is called the ureter. So the ureter is connected to the pelvis. The pelvis was this part here. All right, this part here, that's a pyramid there, right? And it collects the urine that flows out. So the urine will come out here. It goes to the bladder to be stored temporarily. Okay, so you have these three tubes here, all right, that runs into and out of the kidney. They are the renal artery, renal vein, and the ureter. Okay, let's go on. Okay, now, some more. Now, what is the functional unit of the kidney? If the question I ever asked you, what is the basic unit that does the job of cleaning your blood, does the job of excreting, okay, these mineral salts, that does the job of osmoregulation? So the functional unit are these tubes here. Now you can see this word here, nephron. Here, this is nephron. The functional unit is called nephron. And you have many of these nephrons. You can see all these lines. Okay, you can see all these lines in this kidney here. They are very, very, very small. Every line that you see here represents a part of your nephron here. So another name for nephron is called uniferous tubule. Uriniferous means urine, uriniferous tubule. So this is the functional unit. Okay, and the nephron, now you can find it's over here. Okay, let me show you again. Now see here, it is magnified. You'll see it starts from this glomerulus. There's a ball of these capillaries, blood capillaries. Okay, and then you have all this, this tube here, tubule. is called the renal tubule. Renal tubule, R-E-N-A-L. That runs from the top here, the beginning here, the glomerulus. Then you find that it's very, very coiled. We call it convoluted. Okay, you have a coiling here, you have another coiling here, all right? And ultimately, it connects to the collecting duct. By the time the liquid comes to this collecting duct, it is already urine. Earlier on, you don't call it urine, you call it filtrate. Okay, the liquid that comes out from the blood. Okay, so we will see in detail in a while, don't worry. Okay, I'm sure you are very blur now. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Let's go on to each kidney. It will have about 1 million nephrons. So you can just imagine such a small kidney, which is the size of your fist, right? You can have 1 million inside there. So they are very, very minute. They're very small. Okay, and each nephron is just about 1.4 cm long, or 14 mm. So can you imagine? I take a ruler and see 1.4 is a 1.5, yeah, around 1.4, 1.5 cm. Okay, they're very small, and there are 1 million of them roughly in each kidney. So you have around 2 million nephrons. Okay, next let's look at function of kidney. Okay, again now use continuation. Excretion. Okay, it is to excrete toxic waste. Okay, we call this example of nitrogenous compounds like urea. All these examples of nitrogenous compounds. So there will be urea, there will be creatinine in our urine. Okay, uric acid, ammonia, all these are nitrogenous compounds. Okay, osmoregulation, controlling how you say, give it a very simple idea lah, how concentrated your blood should be. Okay, it should not be having too much water, it should not be having too little water. Okay, because it's going to affect how your kidneys, how your cells function. So a kidney controls the total volume of water in water fluids. How much water there is in your body fluids. Okay, your blood and interstitial fluid, the fluid that bathes your cell. Okay, it controls how much. When it's too much water in your body, the kidney will produce more urine. So that your blood, the water will be in your urine. You are going to remove more water. So your urine will be a lot. Okay, not concentrated, very dilute, because you have a lot of water coming out. But if you do not have enough water in your blood or in your bodily tissues, that means too little water, your kidney will not produce so much urine because you don't want to throw away so much water. Okay, your urine will be less because you want to preserve some of the water to dilute back your blood. Okay, so concentration of ions, right? Because it also removes ions in the urine. Okay, so if too much ion, it will be more of the urine, more of the ions will go into the urine to remove them. And blood osmotic pressure. Okay, so how concentrated? In other words, blood osmotic pressure refers to the concentration of your liquid. Okay, when the substance or this substance or liquid has a very high concentration of these ions or dissolved solids, we say blood osmotic pressure is high. That means concentrated, right? If there is the liquid is very dilute, a lot of water there, very little minerals dissolved, then we say osmotic pressure is low. Okay, electrolyte content is the content of ions. Okay, sodium, potassium, and so on. These are the 2 major ions that we have in our body fluid. Okay, and also pH. Just now we mentioned also the pH is a measure of how much of this hydrogen ion there is in your blood. Okay, so when the blood is very acidic, right, your pH will be low, and because there will be a lot of hydrogen ions in the blood. Okay, in the plasma. Okay, next page. Okay, nephron. So now we come to the important part. How do your nephrons work? Okay, you may get questions where you need to discuss and explain the 3 important processes happening to produce your urine. Okay, let's see. Nephron. Let's look at the parts first. How would you label? There are 5 parts of this nephron here. Okay, let's look at this one. Now, you have Bowman's capsule. You see this part here, which is... Okay, now, where do you find this nephron? The entire nephron runs, you see this this rectangle here, it comes from this, starts in the cortex layer, and it goes into the medulla, and you can see there's a U shape here, right? So this upper part here is in the cortex layer, and the bottom part here is in the medulla region. So you can see it covers both sides. Okay, the top part here is cortex, the bottom is medulla. Then there's a U shape here, then it comes up again. Okay, so this is what these are the regions, right? You can see the nephron will be in the medulla and in the cortex as well. Okay, so three parts. Bowman's capsule is this U-shaped thing here. Do you see this part here? This is like a cup shape here. This is your Bowman's capsule. Then you have these blood vessels actually branch out from this renal artery. So the blood, you say, coming from the heart, isn't it? So it branches out into smaller blood vessels called arterioles. And after that, it will branch out to even finer capillaries, and they form a network here. We call it glomerulus. Okay, and then you will see this pink, cream color, the pink, not pink, yellow color thing here. The entire tube here is known as the renal tubule. Renal tubule has got three parts. Okay, we'll see the name of it. The Bowman's capsule is cup-shaped, contains a cluster of blood capillaries called glomerulus. All right, okay, so you must know how to label the parts correctly and spell it correctly. Okay, next, glomerulus is formed. You see this blood vessel? Where does it come from? It comes from the branching of this afferent arteriole. And this afferent arteriole is branched out from the renal artery. So you can see, sir, this is the afferent arteriole. Okay, and then the other one that goes back, you can see your blood vessels. It actually, after forming the glomerulus, it goes to the other parts here. It sort of like, runs very closely with the renal tubule. Is for reabsorption of substances. Then after that, it goes back. Okay, all this blood goes back. So you can see blood is a continuous system. It is never broken anywhere unless there's an injury. So the blood goes in and it comes out again. So it's going to be connected back to the renal vein. Okay, but this one is not renal vein yet. Renal vein is much bigger. So this one is called the efferent arteriole. So you learned it earlier in your chapter 12, right? You have your afferent means coming in and the efferent means coming out for the neuron. Afferent neuron goes into the spinal cord, right? From the top dorsal. And it comes out through the efferent neuron. All right, okay. So far, fine. I don't see any questions. I hope you're clear on this, right? If you're not sure, please do ask me, all right? I will give you my Telegram name afterwards. You can just PM me. Okay, next. So now let's look at nephron clearly. Just now I mentioned the renal tubule. Renal tubule, there are more than one parts. Here, just now we have talked about the glomerulus, which is that ball of, that capillary thing. Then you have the Bowman's capsule. Now we look at the three parts of the renal tubule. Okay, renal tubule is composed of the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, that's quite a mouthful. Proximal means the beginning part. It's always called proximal. Whenever you see all these medical terms, biology terms, proximal always means the first part, beginning. Awal, okay, beginning. Convoluted means it is coiled. It is not a straight line. It is like highly coiled, some kind of convoluted, okay? It's all like, it's like pintao, it's like, what do you call that? It's like a coil around each other, okay? Tubule means a tube. Then the middle part here, you can see it comes down to the medulla. You see the margin here. Cortex is includes. It has your proximal convoluted tubule. It has your glomerulus. It has the Bowman's capsule. And now it comes down to this called loop of Henle. Loop of Henle is a U shape, right? And then after that, you see it goes up from the medulla. It goes up back to the cortex, and this is the distal convoluted tubule. So there's another coiling here. There's another part which is quite coiled. They call it distal. Distal means the ending. Okay, proximal, the beginning. Distal means the ending. You can apply this concept to any part of your body. When you see any label, say proximal means the beginning. Distal means the ending. Okay, convoluted means coiled. And then after that, it will be channeled into Okay, wait, another. Okay, loop of Henle is long U-shaped tubule that extends to the renal medulla. Okay, so it comes in the renal part here, the renal medulla. The distal convoluted tubule of several nephrons. You see, this is only one nephron joining here. You see the neighbor, there may be another nephron on the other side. There's another nephron, so they may share one major tube. So they join together, they converge. Converge is joining together. The nephrons converge into what we call collecting ducts. So this is bigger, wider, and this is where all your urine will be channeled to. Okay, lastly, what comes out with the urine, right? The produced urine will flow from the collecting duct into the ureter. So this is going to be collected to the ureter that comes out of the kidney. All right. Okay. Now, formation of urine. This is what you're going to be mainly asked to answer. Explain. Okay, you can have maybe an entire question on essay. Okay, let's say one part of the essay lah, not entire A and B. Or essay can be divided to A and B for the same question. So here, explain the formation of urine. Okay, so how are you going to explain the formation of urine? You got to know what processes happen in all along the way. Starts from where, ends in the collecting duct. You got to explain everything that happens. What is absorbed back through what process? Okay, explain all that. So first of all, let's look at the three major processes that happen that forms the urine. Okay, it's not the part, it's the process. Number one, three major processes. Number one, you have the ultrafiltration. Not just filtration, you have to say ultrafiltration. Okay, ultrafiltration happens at Bowman's capsule. See the C shape or the cup shape portion there of the tube. That's number one. Okay, and the glomerulus also is together with the Bowman's capsule. So glomerulus and the capsule Bowman, the ultrafiltration happens there. Okay, after that, you will have reabsorption. Now, I underline the word re. You must say reabsorption. You cannot just say absorption of water, absorption of minerals. It is wrong. Okay, you are not going to get your marks. No matter how well you write, your term for the reabsorption is wrong. Okay, because you say absorption only. You must say reabsorption. Now, this happens all along the renal tubule. That means from the beginning, you have the proximal, it goes down to the Henle or loop of Henle, it goes up back to the distal convoluted tubule. Even at the collecting duct, you will have reabsorption. So reabsorption is what happens mostly in your nephron. And one more. Okay, now this is number two, right? Happens in the proximal, loop of Henle, and distal. And number three, you have this one more process called secretion. Okay, secretion actually is putting things inside. Secrete means to produce some kind of a substance. Okay, and this substance is put into the tube. So this is also happens the entire renal tubule, but most active at the distal. So mostly it's at the distal. So I put the number 3 there. It doesn't mean it only happens in the distal. It is most active. So the proximal and the loop of Henle, you also have secretion. Okay. Now let's start with ultrafiltration. Okay. If you were to explain how ultrafiltration happens, this is what you would write. Okay, let's look at the capsule, Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus in detail. Okay, so what you see, the pink color thing there, that is your glomerulus. Okay, you see the one that comes in and the one that goes out. The two blood vessels here, they're called arterioles. Now, you see purposely there's a difference here. The arteriole that carries blood into the Bowman's capsule or the glomerulus coming in is called the afferent. You see that the diameter is bigger compared or larger than the other one, which is the efferent. Okay, so remember this is important because of the diameter difference. Therefore, the blood that comes into the glomerulus is under high hydrostatic pressure. You cannot say high pressure. You have to mention high hydrostatic pressure. Because of the lumen is bigger, there is more blood flow per minute or per second. Okay, more blood going in going through, and therefore it creates a higher hydrostatic pressure. So this higher hydrostatic pressure would cause some of the substances to leak out or to be pushed out. You see the arrows here? This purple arrow here showing certain things are moving out. Okay, so the pressure here is higher than the pressure going inside. Okay, so that's not important. No need to remember the how 55 millimeters per 55 millimeters mercury. No need. You just need to mention this point only. Okay, the blood entering the glomerulus is under high hydrostatic pressure. Why? You must say the reason. Because the diameter of the afferent arteriole is larger than the diameter of the efferent arteriole. Okay, now this causes, because of the pressure, the hydrostatic pressure, causes ultrafiltration to occur. So what is ultrafiltration? These certain substances, the fluid that contains substances like salt, glucose, amino acid, and all this, they will seep through the wall. Seep through means go through the walls of the glomerulus capillaries, and therefore find its way into the Bowman's capsule. So it now enters, this fluid enters the Bowman's capsule. Okay, and then this fluid now is given a name. We call it glomerular filtrate. So this liquid is not yet your urine. Okay, it has got still too many things that the body wants back. So later we are going to reabsorb certain things from this glomerular filtrate because it contains quite important things, okay, that happen to come out from the glomerulus because of the high hydrostatic pressure. We don't want to throw all of it away. We still want to take back something. Okay, so that later on, you have number 2 process, which is known as reabsorption, because we want to take back useful substances. Okay, now clear? This is ultrafiltration. Okay, which the process of the pressure, the high hydrostatic pressure of the blood pushes these things out. Okay, this fluid is now known as glomerular filtrate. Okay, let's go to the second part now. I've still got okay. So here, just to clarify, the glomerular filtrate. Now, what is inside the liquid here? I mean, your filtrate that manages to come out. It has everything that the blood has except these things. Does not have, right? So the glomerular filtrate does not have these things. It has everything that the blood has except for these things. Number 1, red blood cells. Okay, red blood cells cannot move out. So that's why you never see your urine red. If you do see your urine red, something is wrong. Your glomerulus could be damaged. So there is a K-Blood question for you. Okay, if you ever find blood in your glomerulus, in your urine, that means it must have come out in this ultrafiltration process. Okay, so the blood found its way out. It leaked out from the blood, these blood vessels. So it should not. Healthy urine, healthy kidney, okay, you should not have these red blood cells, platelets, and plasma protein in the glomerular filtrate. It did not come out into this liquid here. Okay, and because what's the reason? It's because that these are bigger sizes. The plasma protein, which are the albumin, globulin, immunoglobulin or globulin, and then you have this fibrinogen. These are the plasma proteins. The molecules are big. Molecules are too large, so they are not able to pass through the membrane of this capillary, the glomerulus. Okay, so red blood cells and plasma protein will remain in the blood. Okay, they will go out through the efferent arteriole. It does not come out here. It doesn't come out into this part. It doesn't come out into the glomerular filtrate. Okay, clear? Now, that's the first one, ultrafiltration. Now let's look at what happens in the second process, which is called reabsorption. It happens all the way from the second part here, which is the proximal convoluted tubule. Then after that, you have the loop of Henle. Then after that, you have the distal convoluted tubule, and also the collecting duct actually. So reabsorption happens. Okay, why? I mentioned earlier, right? Did I mention? I mentioned that because this glomerular filtrate, the liquid, the fluid that seep out from the glomerulus still contains many important substances that the body can use back. Okay, so the reabsorption of the glomerular filtrate occurs along the renal tubule from number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on. Okay, so dissolved substances permeate. Permeate means they are able to go through. So if you see this picture here, blue color, purple, black. Okay, see here, the arrow points back into the blood. So you can see that this blood vessel comes from the efferent. All right, efferent. So this blood vessel will move very near to this proximal convoluted tubule, and substances from inside there will be reabsorbed, okay, back into the blood. So because the blood wants it, or your body wants it back. Okay, so the process, let's see. In proximal convoluted tubule, what is reabsorbed? This one you need to know. When you write your essay, you can't write anything if you do not know the facts. You need to know what happens every part of the way. So we have done ultrafiltration. Now we're going to look at the proximal convoluted tubule, where you need to know what is taken back or what is reabsorbed. So here, sodium ions. Okay, you need to take back some of the sodium ions. You will not be throwing completely everything. Okay, they are actively pumped. That means active transport. It can go against the concentration gradient. Okay, that means from less to more. Okay, so this is actively pumped back into the blood. And also chloride ions. This one is passively absorbed. Passive means passive transport. It only can happen from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, so these are two things. Not only that, certain things also, not only two, because proximal convoluted tubule is where majority of the substances that is needed will be reabsorbed. So you have a lot of activity going on here in the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, next one. This is your proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, next one. What happens? Some more. There are some more things reabsorbed. Look carefully. Reabsorption of 100% of the glucose and amino acid. Now, this amino acid does not mean plasma protein. Amino acid is small molecule. The one that I said could not pass through was plasma protein. That one is your globulin, your albumin, and the fibrinogen. That is large. But amino acids are smaller molecules that can go through. It can pass from the glomerulus into the filtrate, into the glomerular filtrate. So here, these things are needed back. Our body can use back the glucose and amino acids. So in the proximal convoluted tubule, whatever glucose that is in this renal tubule at this moment, it will be reabsorbed 100%. Means after proximal convoluted tubule, you should not have any more glucose in the renal tubule. You should not have any more amino acid in the renal tubule if your kidney is healthy. Okay, if there's nothing wrong with your kidney, after the proximal convoluted tubule, you should not have any more glucose. You should not have any more amino acid inside your filtrate here. If you do, let's say a K-Bar question, they give you this, give you 3%. Composition of the filtrate. Individual A, 0% glucose inside here. Okay, fine, it's healthy. Next one, you will have, let's say, 25% glucose still in this person. Individual 2. Okay, of course, individual 2 will be unhealthy. I mean, something wrong with the process of reabsorption. Did not manage to reabsorb back all the glucose. Okay, so this one happens through active transport. You also must mention through what method. Is it through osmosis? Is it through passive transport or through active transport? For here is glucose and amino acid through active transport. Here. Okay, so we have seen sodium actively reabsorbed, chloride passively reabsorbed, then you have glucose and amino acid active transport. Okay, reabsorption of dissolved substances into the blood capillary increases the concentration of dissolved substances in the blood capillary. So as substances are being reabsorbed back, it will increase the concentration of the blood capillaries, right? Because more of these solids are taken back. So your blood capillary becomes more concentrated. Okay, as a result, because of the higher concentration in the blood capillaries, water will also come in. Water will also get to be reabsorbed. And this process is through osmosis. Remember, anytime water is reabsorbed, it has to be osmosis. You have to mention the method. I mean the process. Okay, please write through osmosis. Otherwise, I'm not too sure whether you're going to get your full mark. Okay, clear? So that is in the proximal convoluted tubule. Now let's look at the second part. Loop of Henle. Not second part, third part already actually. Okay, loop of Henle. Now, what gets reabsorbed here are only three things. You just need to remember water. Water is reabsorbed is always through osmosis. Osmosis, right? Next one, sodium. Sodium ions are reabsorbed through active transport. Okay, that also you have to say, right? And one more, chloride. Chloride ions are also reabsorbed. Okay, so water, just now is loop of Henle. Okay, now last part, you have distal. Distal, you have the three things, water, sodium, and ion, chloride ions are reabsorbed. So basically, you need to remember loop of Henle and distal convoluted tubule, you have these three things reabsorbed. The only extra in the proximal convoluted tubule would be the glucose and the amino acids. So this is the easy way to remember. Everywhere you have sodium, water, and chloride being reabsorbed, from the proximal to the loop of Henle to the distal. But in distal, in the proximal, you have something extra. Glucose and amino acids are reabsorbed as well. Okay, so now this is distal. All right. So next, third process. The third process is the opposite of reabsorption. Reabsorption is the substances taken back into the blood. Okay, because the body still needs these things. Now, secretion is the opposite. The direction of substances moving is not from the renal tubule to the blood. It is the opposite. The blood puts in things into the renal tubule. It's called secretion. Okay, process of secreting waste. So the waste is coming out from the blood capillary into the renal tubule. Okay, the process of secreting waste material in the blood that were not filtered earlier into the renal tubule. So in the earlier part, it did not manage to go into the glomerular filtrate. So now in this part of the blood here, all right, there still are certain substances which the body does not need. That means there's still waste material. So now is the time to put these things back into the distal convoluted tubule. Okay, so it's opposite to the process of reabsorption. So the direction, okay, the direction, you can see the direction of the flow. I think I've got arrows of it. Secretion occurs along the renal tubule. So where does the secretion happen? It's actually along the entire renal tubule. Entire. But most active in the distal. So more of the secretion happens in the distal. Okay, so you see the direction. So secretion happens through simple diffusion and also active transport, both types. Okay, so what are the substances that are secreted? What are the things that your blood wants to release into your distal convoluted tubule? There will be hydrogen ions, potassium ions, ammonium ions, NH4+, urea, creatinine, whatever toxic substances and whatever drugs you have taken, medicine you have taken in your medication. Okay, so it will be secreted. We don't say absorbed, right? It's secreted into here. So the direction, you see the direction? The arrow here from the blood goes into the renal tubule, not the other way around. Okay, so this is called secretion. So secretion function is to get rid of toxic waste. So it's to put in things that you don't need to release it. Okay, so there you have three important processes. So this diagram is from your textbook, which I find is a very good summary. Okay, so take a textbook later when you want to do revision. Analyze this. What are the things that are absorbed? So here is your glomerulus, where your ultrafiltration happens. Okay, secondly, here, this is your proximal convoluted tubule. And what are the things that are reabsorbed? You will see sodium here, chloride ions, water, and also glucose and amino acids. You see here? So you see, analyze this. What are the things that get reabsorbed? You see the arrows there. Okay, next, you have the loop of Henle, where water is reabsorbed. And then you will have sodium and also chloride ions. And lastly, this part here, which is the distal convoluted tubule, you have arrows pointing in different direction. One coming out from the tubule, the renal tubule, this is reabsorption. Water, sodium, and chloride. And another group here, you see something is put into the renal tubule. This is from the blood. Potassium ions, hydrogen ion, and also urea. These are the toxic substances. So you have secretion here as well. Okay? So go and see that later in your textbook. Okay, formation of urine. Okay, a little bit part left. So now this filtrate is mostly what should be taken back would have been taken back. And what that needs to be secreted, this urea will have already come in. So at the end here, all right, more or less your urine is already formed. All right. So when the renal fluid reaches the collecting duct, only small amounts of salt are left. So it's not very a lot of salt, but there'll be quite a lot of water there. So you'll find your urine is mostly 95% of water, and the rest, about 4 to 5%, are all these dissolved substances in the urine. Okay. So most of the water has already been reabsorbed back. Okay, which is useful because you don't want to throw away too much water. If you do, your body will suffer dehydration. There'll be way too much water we are removing. Okay, you're definitely going to die, right? And some people, they produce a lot of urine. Okay, and this is what we call diabetes insipidus. Okay, it is not a healthy condition, right? The person will end up thirsty all the time, as these are the symptoms, and they always go to urine quite often. Urinate, we call it to produce urine quite often. Okay, we go to the toilet quite often, right? Okay, the remaining renal fluid is now called urine. So now when it comes to in this collecting duct, it is called urine. Okay, so you can see there's urine, a few of them, nephrons, they share the same collecting duct, and this thing, right? So the urine. Now, what is the concentration of things in the urine? You have water. Definitely, your water is your solvent to dissolve all these things. Urea, sodium, chloride, okay, uric acid, creatinine, all this. Okay, after leaving the collecting duct, this urine will flow through the ureter. The next part will be the ureter, the tube that comes out from the kidney. After that, it goes to the bladder. Then, when the urine comes out, it goes through the urethra and is finally excreted out of the body. Okay, so we have seen the formation of urine. Okay, now we look at the important part of this one. It also can be an essay question. Discuss or explain the process of osmoregulation. How does your kidney control how much water should be excreted, and what are the conditions that require you to produce more urine or produce less urine? Okay, so you give you maybe a scenario. Okay, the person has been running or doing rigorous activity and causes the person to sweat a lot. So a lot of water will be released from the sweat glands when the person is losing a lot of heat, losing a lot of water. So that means your urine should not be producing so much urine. Okay, you should not be removing so much water from your body. So as a result, your urine, your kidney will make less urine, and your urine will be very little. That is to osmoregulate, so that your body will not have too high osmotic pressure. Your blood will not be too concentrated. Okay, so let's explain how to explain this. Okay, the water content of our body basically it changes depending on how much water you drink and also what activity you carry out. If you are running, okay, definitely you sweat. Okay, if it's a cold weather, you will also not go to the toilet so often. You will not be sweating. Therefore, your urine will be more if it's cold conditions. Okay, so osmoregulation definition is the process of regulating, that is controlling the water and salt amounts, okay, concentration of water or concentration of salt, right, in the body, so that the blood osmotic pressure, remember, it's not blood pressure, blood osmotic pressure can be maintained at a normal range so that your cells can function optimally. So this is part of homeostasis, okay, so that your body can carry on living lah, right? I mean doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, so how do you achieve osmoregulation? How do you control this water? It is by regulating the volume of urine. So how much urine? If you don't have enough water in your body, we will not be producing so much urine, because urine is water actually, basically. Okay, if you have too much water in your body, then your kidney will try to make more urine to get rid of your excess water. Okay, so that's the basic concept. Now let's look at this one. Too little water in your body. When your body is having too little water, you don't drink for many hours. You've been sweating. You're doing a lot of exercise. Water comes out of your, you're losing water through your sweat. Then your blood will become too concentrated. Okay, now when that happens, I want you to remember, how do you relate that to blood osmotic pressure? Is your blood osmotic pressure high or low? Okay, Devesh, can you answer this? When you have too little water in the body, that means your blood is too concentrated. Is your blood osmotic pressure, high or low? I mentioned it earlier. I wonder you're paying attention now. Devesh, are you there? Okay, quickly. Just type in high or low. Too little water, that means your blood is too concentrated. Is your blood osmotic pressure high or low? Devesh, giving you 2 more seconds. Oh, you're not there. All right. Maybe you're still thinking. Okay, so time is up. I need to quickly finish my lesson. Okay, so if this case happens, your blood osmotic pressure is high. So make that connection. You just need to remember one. So the opposite case will be too much water, blood is too dilute or not concentrated enough, blood osmotic pressure is low. Okay, remember this connection. Don't use the wrong term. Very dangerous to use the wrong term. Okay, so let's look at this. This is what question will ask you. Question will give you a scenario. Someone running marathon, sweating a lot. Explain what kind of what's the corrective mechanism? What will your body try to do? What will your kidney try to do when this person is losing so much water? Okay, that is the second case. I go to the first case first. Drinking too much water. Right, somebody don't know drinking so much water. Drinking gallons of water. So if drinking gallons of water, your body, your blood will have the danger of being too dilute. Okay, so that cannot happen. Your kidney will try to do something. Will try to throw away more water. Yeah, but that is layman's term. You're not going to write that in your essay. You write that in your essay, you're going to get 0 because there's no fact. Where are your facts coming from? Now, use these facts. I want to make you understand, and your task is to remember. I cannot remember for you, correct or not? I can only teach you. I can only make you understand. But the remembering, you have to do it because I can't remember for you. Ultimately, you are writing an essay. Okay, now, first, when you have too much water, your blood osmotic pressure is low. Remember? Too much water, blood osmotic pressure is lower than the normal range. No need to remember what's the normal range, what's the value. Okay, so when that happens, your osmoreceptor, okay, these are the special cells in your hypothalamus. They are going to be like the sensor, their detector, right? Detects that your blood is now too dilute, too much water, too dilute, right? So they are less stimulated. And when that happens, you are going to produce less hormone, this hormone called ADH. Okay, the pituitary gland is less stimulated. Now pay attention to this kind of words. It is needed when you answer questions. Less. Less. It is very, very important. Less stimulated. So your pituitary gland is less stimulated, less ADH. So less ADH, so look at the small arrow, very thin arrow. Less. When that happens, the ADH function is to stimulate reabsorption of water. So when there's less ADH, that means there will be less reabsorption of water. Not so much water will be taken back. How does it work? Okay, so it's like this. The ADH function is to make the wall of the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct to be less permeable to water. So that means it does not allow so much water to go back into the blood. It becomes less permeable. So low ADH, less water is reabsorbed. So you see all this group? Less. less water is reabsorbed from the renal fluid into the blood capillary. And therefore, when you have less water reabsorbed, that means there'll be a lot of liquid inside here, which is your collecting duct. So whatever comes out, your urine will be more there. Okay, so more water will be in the urine. Okay, and it will be less concentrated, it will be very dilute. Your urine will have a lot and the concentration will be low. Okay, less concentrated urine is generated in high volume. That means a lot, no? Your urine is a lot. And lastly, don't forget the last statement. You have to mention it goes back to normal, because this is deviation. Deviation means a change in the condition that makes you happen. All these things happen. After that, when you have more water being released into the urine, therefore your blood osmotic pressure will go back to normal, return to normal. Okay, so the entire sequence of all this, if you can answer this, very good, perfect, you can get full mark for your essay. Okay, it can go up to 6 to 8 marks. Okay, 4 to 8 marks, depending on how much they want you to answer. So you read the marks first, see how much marks you needed before you start answering. Okay, and make sure, if you're not sure which point is there, okay, try to write all the points. Okay, if you don't skip any of this, most highly likely you get full marks, maximum marks. Okay, now the opposite. What happens if you have too little water? You don't drink water, or you're sweating a lot due to vigorous activity. So it's the opposite. That's why you just need to remember one. You need to remember one, the other one is the opposite. Okay, so your blood osmotic pressure will be higher. It will increase above the normal range. And that would stimulate your osmoreceptor. Just now was less, isn't it? Stimulated more. So write the distinction here. Stimulated more or more stimulated, whatever it is, will be stimulated more. And then, so your pituitary gland is stimulated more. More high or increased stimulation. So you see the difference here, less just now it's more. So more ADH is secreted from the pituitary gland. Okay, so more ADH is secreted from the pituitary gland. So then you can see here, more ADH, you see the arrow factor now. So when the arrow is more ADH, that means your distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct will be more permeable. So the pores on this renal tubule will be bigger now, allowing water to be reabsorbed. More water will be reabsorbed. Okay, so high concentration of ADH cause the walls of the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct to become more permeable to water. So more water will be allowed to go through the renal tubule. Okay, so again, more water is reabsorbed from the renal tubule into the blood. Okay, remember there are blood vessels running there. And then as a result, because more water is taken back, so that means there's going to be less water in your collecting duct. So now, here you see the arrow thinner, so less water is produced in the urine. So urine will be, because of less water, less solute, so the concentration of the urine will be higher. Urine is very concentrated and won't be a lot. Your urine will be very little. And the color, don't forget to change the color, it will be yellow or maybe dark yellow, okay, like chrysanthemum tea. Okay, just now earlier it was clear, pale yellow. Now it's dark yellow or maybe deep color, okay, yellow color. So, and then lastly, blood pressure versus osmotic pressure, not blood pressure. Remember to say blood osmotic pressure is different. Blood osmotic pressure is different from blood pressure. Blood osmotic pressure returns to normal. Okay, so lastly, health issues. So that I've already explained, these are the potential questions that can come up from here. Potential questions in the essay. It may not be in the essay. In your structure, so they can ask you. Okay, next one. Now, health issues related to the urinary system. Okay, this one just a few parts here. Kidney failure. Kidney failure. A lot of people are having kidney failure. The kidneys do not function anymore. They are not able to remove the waste product. That's why I say kidney failure. They do not do the job that they're supposed to do. They cannot. Okay, where it occurs when the kidneys become unable to filter waste products. Okay, because it doesn't work. The glomerulus could be damaged. Okay, dangerous levels of waste may be accumulate. This is the effect. Your blood, too much of substances which are waste, they are toxic. Okay, and your cells will suffer. Your cells will die. And of course, when the cell die, you die lah, right? Okay, next. Can be caused by illness. What causes kidney failure? Some illnesses, okay, that causes your kidney to not function. Bacterial infection. Your kidney has been infected by bacteria, or could be accident. Physical trauma. Okay, your kidney has been hit by something. Okay, let's say accident, all right? Car accident or something, your kidney has been damaged or smashed, whatever. Okay, so unfortunate. So the leading cause of renal failure, the most highly likely causes, what causes kidney failure is because of diabetes mellitus. That means penyakit kencing manis. Okay, diabetes mellitus and high blood pressure. So that's why keep your body pressure, body weight in check. That means don't be overweight. When you have overweight, you have obesity, you will have higher potential to have high blood pressure, and this can cause your kidney to suffer. You have kidney failure in the end. Both these conditions will damage the glomerulus. So the filtration, the ultrafiltration cannot happen correctly. Okay, some things are not filtered. It cannot come out from the it cannot come out into the glomerular filtrate. Okay, lastly, okay, another one, kidney stone. Here you can see this picture of stones can be lodged in the kidney. These stones are not from outside. These stones are substances that are already, it's like the salt, mineral salt in the glomerular filtrate, because you do not have enough water to dissolve them. Okay, so these are hard masses made of uric acid, calcium oxalate, or crystalline calcium phosphate. So you see, all these things are like pebbles. Okay, and imagine if it's get lodged into your very tiny urethra, it's going to be painful. And these are not smooth. Some of them are jagged edges. Jagged means sharp, because they are crystals. And as you know, crystals are, when they form, they have a particular orientation of the molecules. So you get sharp edges, and it can be very painful. One of the symptoms of kidney stones is you have pain in your abdomen. I mean the back part of your abdomen, where your kidney should be. Okay, urination, you get pain and so on. So kidney stones can block the ureter. That means your urine would have very little. Okay, it may maybe probably trickle out a little bit, reduce the production of urine, and more importantly, I think more disturbing is the pain. Okay, it will, because the jagged edges, the sharp edges can cause sharp pain in the lower back and the sides. So if you do experience that, quickly go and see a doctor. All right, and fortunately there are treatments to be done. All right, of course, the surgery will be the last one, because it's very invasive. Other things you can do is some kind of concoction. You go to the internet, you can see a lot of recipes. It ask you to drink for 7 days. This kind of, you blend some vegetables and lemon or whatever. You drink it for 7 days, and it seems like probably, I don't know, it seems like it could be quite effective. Okay, so if you have the problem, all right, just Google up. Okay, so prevention. Of course, the prevention, the best thing is the stones are formed because there's lack of water to dissolve these minerals. So in order to prevent this, all you can do is you make sure you drink enough water every day. Okay, at least 1.6 liters. Make it 2 liters every day. All right, and then you most probably you will not get the risk of kidney stones. All right, okay, so this is my class for today. I've taken 1 hour, but I really want you to understand. That's why I took the trouble to write, to do the slides where you can see clearly what I'm talking about, and I want you to understand. All right, so that is my goal. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. I do not know who you are. I can only see Devesh there. So thank you for joining. And next week is very close to Chinese New Year, so I'm not sure whether I will have a class. But I will, if I ever do have a class, I'm probably will be very busy doing these classes for my online classes to help the Form 5 students who are going to face their SPM soon. So, okay, if I have time, I will do this chapter 12, which I've skipped. Okay, I went straight to chapter 15. And my 14 and 15, I do have on my channel. Please go and check out my channel. I have chapter 14 and chapter 15 already done last year. Okay, so that last 2 parts are quite technical. So if you need explanation, please do check out my channel and go to watch the videos on chapter 14 and chapter 15. All right, okay, thank you very much, and I hope to see you again probably very soon. All right, that won't be the end of my channel. Okay, I will be doing, I do not know what topic, but for you, for Form 4, I will be doing chapter 12. Hopefully, I will have a time to finish off chapter 12. Okay, bye-bye, everyone. See you another time. Bye. Thanks. Bye-bye. See ya.